Cookie, come. Yes, very good. Yes, good. Sit. Yes, good. Sit. Very good. Down. Yes, good. Down. Very good. Free. Yes, good girl. Very good. And then we do it on the side. Sit. Yes, good. Sit. Very good. Very good. Down. Yes, good. Down. Very good. And free. Yes, very good girl. And then we work on the stay. Sit. Yes, good sit. Very good sit. We work on it first on a sit. Yes, good girl. Very good girl. Yes, good girl. And then free, free. Yes, very good. And then we do it again on the down. Come. Yes, very good. Down. Yes, good down. Very good. Very good down. Yes, good. Very good. Yes, good. Very good. And then free. Yes, very good. And that's it. All right, Cookie, come. Very good. Good girl. Good girl. Someone is excited. That's awesome. This is the mood that we want her in. So I did a separate video where I demonstrated Cookie's recall outside. Like when you open a gate and then there's somebody passing by even and then she is distracted, she runs off, she wants to engage with them, and you call her, her response is quick, right? And the reason why you get that kind of level of response from your dog is usually when your dog has a thorough understanding of the benefit of responding to your leadership and how that secures it, gives it happiness, gives it comfort, and then peace, right? So apart from the technique that I used to achieve that using an e-collar, I also get that kind of relationship through bonding on a level of dog and handler or follower and leader. So I'm like her guide and an authority figure. And how I'm able to do that is by having these sessions where one-on-one, I stimulate her mentally, move her around physically with gestures and with commands, and then reward her when she is going according to my rhythm or according to my leadership. So it just continues to enforce that type of relationship. So I'm about to demonstrate to you a simple routine that you can practice with her, just, you know, for the fun of it, to have that kind of relationship with your dog. Something you'll spend about 5 to 10 minutes doing. But I'll break it down. So this video might be a bit longer than that, so that you do it properly. So first things first, I'll demonstrate the proper way to take her on walks, because apart from the one-on-ones with treats, when you do walks outside on the leash, that is also a very powerful way of bonding with your dog, because if you're walking your dog the proper way and then correcting her the proper way, keeping her where you want her to be, putting her into a sit when you stop and you want her to sit, then you enforce the same kind of leadership and authority. So you want to take these things seriously if you want to be able to handle her in different situations very, very well. So I'm going to grab a leash real quick, and then we'll do the first thing, which is walking your dog properly. So once I have her on the leash, I want to make sure that if we are starting the walk, I am starting the walk and not her. So when she's seated like this, then we are good to go. This is very good behavior. So I always encourage this. So when she's seated like this, let me adjust this properly. Then all I do is I make sure that I'm holding the leash in such a way that she's on one side, and usually my left side, so that you are between her and then oncoming traffic, right? So the longer end can be in one hand, or you can just fold it so that you have a comfortable grip, right? And then when you take your walk together, you want to start by freeing her. So I always use the command, right? Free, and then we walk, right? And then the idea is when we are walking, this is loose. I don't want this to be tight. So if it's loose like this, then it means the walk is going well, right? It means I'm not forcing it. She's walking because she wants to, because she understands how to walk. And she's not walking because I'm pulling her. You see, as soon as I start to pull, she stops, she resists, and she sits down. So if you feel any tension, it means you are getting something wrong. And I'll demonstrate how to correct that. So if there's tension, she's holding back, and I want to encourage her to walk, what I do is I pop the collar. So when you pop the collar, the gesture is going to be like that. Pop, pop. For now, it's loose, so she's not feeling it. I just want to demonstrate a gesture. And then when we are setting off, I'll do it to get her attention. So you just pop like that, right? And when you pop it, the idea is that you're just snapping her out of her distraction to get her attention again so that she can focus on what she was doing correctly before. So now that she stopped, I want us to continue. Let's assume that when she stopped, I didn't stop because I'm not supposed to. The idea is that when you're walking your dog, you only stop when you decide to stop, not when your dog stops. So when your dog is stopping, you correct that behavior by popping the collar to encourage her to keep moving. Or if she's drawing away, you pop it to encourage her to come back. Or if she's moving too fast, you pop it backward to encourage her to slow down. So I'll pop, and then you see she gets the hint and she starts to walk again. And that's how that works. So that's the idea. If there's tension, I just pop a little bit and then loosen it to encourage her to keep moving. Yes, good. Let's go. Good girl. Let's go. Yes, yes. So you notice this time I had to pop twice, and the second time it sped her up. Sit. Yes, very good. So that's how that works. So you might have to pop twice, sometimes 3 times, multiple times, and all that. And when you are doing these subtle things, these are how you enforce a relationship of leadership. So your dog sees you as a guide. This is no random walk where you're walking and your dog is doing whatever it wants. It's consciously following your leadership, moving according to the way it knows you approve of, staying in a position it knows you approve of, moving at the pace that you approve of. And then whenever it's distracted, it is yanked back into its sense of focus by your leadership, by your actions. So by the time you come home, the dog gets a sense that, wow, we went out there, I saw these cars, I was anxious, and then when I tried to panic, he just reminded me everything was fine. We kept walking and nothing bad happened to me, and I came home. So wow, she's wonderful. When I'm close to her, I'm safe, I'm secure. So she gives you that sense of acknowledgement that, yes, she trusts your leadership. So she will look up to you for guidance and look forward to you telling her what she should usually do, right? So basically, that's how you walk your dog. Free, let's go. Right? So this is a very comfortable walk where there's no tension. If she's slowing down, just pop it. And then when I pop it, I loosen it up so that there's no pull. You notice when I popped it, I loosened it to the end. I want to make sure there's no tension, and I want to make sure she understands that. Let's go, let's go. Yes, very good. Yes, very good. Very good. I don't want to have a situation where I'm pulling at all. So be careful when you pop to make sure your hand swings back so that it's loose. If she's too far, you can release to the end so that it's loose, so that she herself picks up her pace. So that's how you go about that. Next thing is when you are giving her treats. So I use chopped up chicken sausage, right? So there you have it. So with that, come. When you're practicing with her, you can take off the collar and leash when you're practicing with her, especially indoors. It just makes your movement and stuff more comfortable. And at this point, I think she's focused enough that it will make it easy. If she begins to be too distracted, then you can put the collar back on. So I'm going to work without the collar and just with the treats, right? So when you're giving her treats, you want to make sure that you're using your hand as like an asset. Use it to your advantage because treats are here. So cookie, yes, very good. Very good. So she knows that when she comes to this hand, she gets goodies. So you can use that to your advantage and then move her around whichever way you want. Sometimes you can just make it fun and exciting for her. And then at the right moment, you give her treat, right? But then it should be purposeful. So even though I just demonstrated something very random, what I actually like to do is use it to move her into this relationship. Sit, yes, where we are face to face in a prim and proper fashion. And then also move her this way. Yes. Move her, sit, into this relationship where we are side by side. Now we're both facing you. This is the relationship you have when you're walking your dog. And then the face-to-face is what you have mostly when you're in the house and you're with your dog and it's out in the open. So when you call your dog Cookie, you want her to come to you, sit, and come and sit in front of you like a good girl. And then you guys can have your conversation. Yes, very good. So that's where your hand is an asset. So you notice that when I call her, I use my hand to guide her to where I want her to be. So if I just randomly call her, Cookie, right? So let's stand here, Cookie. Yes, very good. Because we've done it with the luring again and again and again, I am getting a prim and proper relationship. So that's where your hand comes in. So if you call Cookie to you and she sits in an awkward fashion, let's say I'm facing here, I call Cookie and Cookie comes to sit over there, then you need to introduce the hand again and use that to lure her, come, and make sure she's where you need her to be. So just be mindful of that. Be mindful of how you can use your hand to your advantage with the treats in there. Also, because you have a treat in your hand, you want to make sure that when you are doing nothing, right, your hand is resting in the center of your body. So this is my resting position. If I do this, look at that. If I'm resting here, then the treat is low. It's almost as if I'm trying to give it to her or play a game or something, and then she gets distracted and she starts to learn wrong behaviors. So you don't want that. You want this to be your neutral position. I call this the neutral position. So when I call her, come, sit. When she sits, I'm back at my neutral position, right? Because nothing is happening for now. Yes. If I reward her, okay, take that one. Back to my neutral position before the next command. Down. Good girl. Down. Yes. Good. And then back to my neutral position. And then when I free her, free. Yes. And then back to my neutral position, right? So this is neutral. So you want to be mindful of that as well. So now the first part of the routine is very simple. You call your dog and then you mark. I want you to just simply get used to marking the behavior. So when you call your dog, the moment your dog makes a move to start coming to you, that's the moment you mark the behavior. Because I called, and then when I called, what did you do? You started to come. So the moment you started, that was where you responded. That was where you did the right thing at the right time. So I'll mark that moment. I'm not going to mark when you are walking and you're halfway here. And I'm not going to mark when you're now getting here. I'll mark probably twice. Maybe the first time would be yes, the moment you make the first step. And then the second time will be when you get here to mark that, yes, this is where I need you to arrive at whenever I call you. So please watch this. Cookie, yes. Yes. So that was 2 markers. The first marker, as soon as she got up and started to move, I marked that. And that timing is important. And then as soon as she got here, yes, I marked again and then gave her her reward. So I want you to get used to the habit of marking. Yes, it's a very simple word, but because you're not used to timing it with the behaviors that your dog portrays, it will be a little bit awkward at first. You might miss it. So it's something you should practice with your dog, right? Cookie, yes. Yes, very good. So even in this instance, you notice that she was coming. Then she stopped to pick up the piece of the treat, right? Then she started to come again, and I marked the behavior for leaving the treat and then continuing the journey. So every positive response to any instruction that you give, you mark it. So sometimes I even mark behaviors that I haven't asked for if they are good behaviors that I like. Like I'm talking and then she's sitting there, she's not being a distraction or anything. So I like that. Yes. And then I reward for that, right? That's the importance of the marker. So the timing for sitting, for example, sit. Yes, very good. It's the moment her bum touches the floor. So when I say sit, then I'm looking at her to sit. I want her to do the action. If she goes down halfway and I mark, then I marked too early. And if she sits and I wait a while before I marked, then I've marked too late. So I need to make sure I mark the moment her bum touches the floor and then reward. And if I free her, I need to make sure I mark the moment she raises herself up to get up and walk away and then reward. So free, yes, and then reward. Okay. So with the down command, come, yes, sit, yes, down, yes, very good. So with the down, I mark the moment her elbows touch the floor and then I reward. Free, yes, very good. Okay, so I want you to understand that concept of marking and then use it at the right time to mark good behavior. Now, I want you to reward on everything that she does when she comes home to you, right? So that you get used to the rhythm before you start to let her do multiple things before you give her a reward. So, come. Yes. Sit. Yes. So she gets a reward for the sit. Down. Yes. She gets a reward for the down. Free. Yes. And then she gets a reward for the free. Okay. Now, when it comes to the gestures when you're instructing your dog, the posture is important. So, I mean, that's the whole point of me being involved because I've already gone through the phase of all the bending and all that stuff so that we can get to a point where you are comfortable when you're communicating with your dog. So when you call your dog, your posture should be standing. So even when I'm lowering her, right, I would only probably bend slightly. Cookie, yes, very good. Sit. Yes, good. And then I'll just bend to reward her and then stand back upright. Okay. So whenever I'm speaking and I'm giving the command, my position is erect. Down. Yes. Give her a treat. Back to my erect position. Free. Yes. Give her a treat. And I'm back to standing in my neutral position, right? Now, the other thing too is the gestures for the various commands. With the come, it's your hand lowering. Sit. Yes. With the sit, if you notice, right? When I lower, come, and she gets here, I take my hand away from her towards my face and I go sit. Yes. And then I reward. So whenever I say sit, I take the treat away as I say it, sit. So this gesture has become very, very connected to that command, right? My elbow is comfortable here. It's just my hand that moves. Hey, 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 hey. Just a second. Guys, stop it. So I'm going to demonstrate that again real quick. Come. Yes. Sit. Yes. Yes. Very good. And then reward. Okay. Now, if you ask your dog to sit and your dog lies down, you don't reward them. You either say no. Sometimes I say but then and no is basically the same thing, and I alternate words. So I'll say no, and then when she goes into the sit, I'll say yes, and then reward, because that's what I actually asked for. Now with a down, the gesture is just the same way my hand came up. This time it's going down, and then it's going with the finger pointing down. Yes. And then I reward. Sit. Yes. So I'm going to do that again. When I point, I usually leave my finger pointed until she does the action. So I don't do this and then raise it again. I point, leave it, yes, and then she does it. And you notice that just with a gesture and not even saying the command, she does the action. So that's how connected the gesture is to the action. So it's also good that you practice whilst using the proper gestures as well. So I'm just gonna, hey, stop it. I'm just gonna do all of that. Come. This way. Come here. Yes. Sit. Yes. Reward. Very good. Down. Yes. Reward. Very good. And free. Yes. Reward. And that's that. So the second thing that I want you to try to practice is doing the same thing on the sides. Doing the same thing on the sides just helps your dog to be able to have the same relationship with you in different positions, so that it doesn't become a fixed thing and your dog feels like I should only listen when we are face to face. Just let your dog understand that, sometimes I'll be walking and you'll be on my side and I'll still need you to respond in that manner. So with that, I'll take the treat in my hand and then I'll lower her to my side. Lower her, get her here where I want her to be, and then take it away above her head and say, sit. Yes. And mark and reward. Yes. Very good. Very good. And then now down. Yes. Mark and reward. Very good. And then now free. Yes. Very good. So I'll repeat that a few times. Sometimes you'll notice that if you're doing a lot of face-to-face, and then now you get her to the side, after one reward, she'll come in front of you again because she thinks it's always face-to-face. So when she does that, you don't reward, you just lower her back to the side again. Come. Yes. Very good. This way. Yes. Sit. Yes. I said sit, not lie down. Yes. Very good. Very good. Down. So that's what I was talking about, for instance. So she's used to this. So when she does it down this way, I don't reward for that, even though she laid down. She didn't lie down where I wanted her to. So I say no, and then I bring her back. Good. And then sit. Yes. Good. And then down. Yes. And then she gets the reward here. So all of this enforces a sense of leadership. This is how she knows that there's a way you want things done. So she doesn't just get to do things anyhow she feels. So I'm going to free her now. Free. Yes. Very good. Very good. So now what's happening is you realize when she sits down, she stays and she waits. And then when she lies down, she's able to also stay there and she waits for my next instruction. That's because she understands what free means, right? So it means she understands to be in that position until she hears the command. Now, does she understand that even if I create distance between us? The answer is yes. So the idea is that she needs to be able to apply longer durations to it and also longer distances to it. So I've given her the foundation of that. And I'll just demonstrate how you practice that as well. So come. Yes. Sit. Yes. Sit. Yes. Good. Down. Yes. Very good. So before I demonstrate that, let me demonstrate how to get her to do a sit if she's lying down. Because when she's lying down, she's in a very comfortable position. So from her down position, to get her to a sit, you encourage her by holding the treat above her head when you say the sit command. So it will be something like this. Sit. Yes, very good. So just the sight of the treat up there is her motivation to get out of that comfortable position into a sit. Yes. Let me put her back in a down now. Down. Yes, very good. So now that she's in a down, what I usually do is I mark the behavior and I force it with the very good. So before I walk away from her, I tell her, good. Cookie, I want to get her attention. Good, good girl. And then I walk away. And then she stays. And then when I get to a point and I turn and she's there, I mark that as well. I say, yes. Then I come back, I say, yes. And then I reward, yes. And then I free. Free. Yes. So I'll do it that way since there's more space. Come this way. Very good. Sit. Yes. Good. Down. Yes. Good. Down. Very good. And when she's still there, yes. And then I come back, mark again, yes. And then reward, yes. Very good. And then free. Free. Yes. Good girl. So that's how that works. With that, the idea is that when I say down and then she's lying down, before I leave her, I enforce the behavior by saying good down, very good down, or good girl, right? Before I walk away, it's very important to do that. I don't just walk away. So likewise, if she's in a sit, yes, good, very good sit. I'll say good sit. And then when I turn and she's still there, yes, good. Then I come back and I mark again, yes, good, very good. And then I free her. Free. Very good. So that's your foundation for teaching her to stay. So usually your opportunity to continue to build the relationship is by pushing this more and more, right? So in your life, you can look at how this will apply and then the things that you need her to stay in order for you to do. And then you practice in those scenarios. So it's important to understand the principle of correction when it comes to this particular behavior. So the main principle of correction is, come. So if I say good sit and I'm walking and she gets up and she moves, I simply say no and then I take her back to the same spot. Come. Make sure she's at the same place. Sit. Yes, good sit. Mark again and then leave her there. So if she's still there, yes, good. So if I'm somewhere here working or something, I want her to be there. Anytime I turn and she's still there, I say yes, good. But obviously, when you want to stretch longer durations, yes, good. Very good. Good girl. All right, down. Yes, good. Good. Yes, good, down. Very good. Very good. So obviously, when you want to stretch it for longer durations, you want her to be in a comfortable position, which is the down position. So, I mean, that way, at least, you know that if you're delaying it, she's comfortable at least. But if she's in a sit and you're stretching it, it's honestly not fair and it's going to get her to make mistakes. So it's going to make her learn at a much slower pace. So you want her to be comfortable. So mostly I like to practice the stay in a down position. And as you can see, she's doing very well. So I'll mark it. Yes, good. And then I'll come and reward her. Yes. Very good. And then I'll free her. Free. Yes, good. Very good. Are we okay here? That is all you practice with your dog. Come, Cookie, come. Yes, very good. Yes, good. Sit. Yes, good. Sit. Very good. Down. Yes, good. Down. Very good. Free. Yes, good girl. Very good. And then we do it on the side. Sit. Yes, good. Sit. Very good. Very good. Down. Yes, good. Down. Very good. And free. Yes, very good girl. And then we work on the stay. Sit. Yes, good. Sit. Very good. Sit. We work on it first on a sit. Yes, good girl. Very good girl. Yes, good girl. And then free, free. Yes, very good. And then we do it again on the down. Come. Yes, very good. Down. Yes, good down. Very good. Very good down. Yes, good. Very good. Yes, good. Very good. And then free. Yes, very good. And that's it. So that's basically the routine. Shouldn't take long to do one round of this. So you can do this maybe 3 or 4 times just to make sure that it's not a fluke. And then you're done. And this really enforces that sense of leadership and your dog looking up to you. So please don't take it for granted. So that's all. If you have any challenges, you can always give me a call. And as I've said, the preventive approach is always the best approach. So when there are small behaviors that you can't control in the moment, you want to prevent her from having access to doing them. So you want to keep her in her crate as often as possible. So now she's used to doing her business outside. So in the mornings, I let her out. She goes outside, she does her business. In the evenings, the same thing. So she will hardly even pee in her crate. What I try to do is midday, I let her out briefly to pee, because at this age, I think it's still a little bit early for her to hold her pee all day, right? If she's a year and a half towards 2 years, it becomes much easier. But then for now, midday, every opportunity I get, I let her out to do one pee. But, sometimes she'll go the whole day and she'll hold it in. Or worst case scenario, in the evening, you'll see a little bit of pee on the tray of her crate, but then no poo. And then you take her out in the evening and she does her poo and all her business. And then you bring her back to go to sleep. So good girl, very good. As you can see, she's doing very well. She enjoys these sessions now. She's engaged, and she's learned a lot. So thank you for watching.